Let's bring in our correspondent in Rio, Tim Vickery, for more on this. Tim, good evening to you. Tell us more about this figure, 400,000 dead.
Well, the worrying thing is the speed with which the death toll is advancing. We only passed 200,000 on January the 7th, so it's taken less than 4 months to go from 200,000 to 400,000. And I very much fear and suspect that as long as I'm still here to do it, within 2 months, we will be having this conversation about Brazil reaching 500,000. A population, a country with 2.7% of the global population is now responsible for more than 12.5% of global COVID deaths. Something has gone very, very wrong in Brazil.
The trends, as you're pointing out, Tim, are all going upwards, sadly. What about the issues regarding vaccination? Obviously, one reads about AstraZeneca, one reads about Sinovac. How are things progressing?
This is Brazil's big problem. At the moment, less than 15% of the population have had the first dose and less than 7% have had the second dose. And there is an absence of vaccines, and that is even jeopardizing second doses. There are not enough vaccines at the moment to safely complete within the time period the second dose of some people who've already received the first dose, running the risk of the first dose losing its effectiveness. The vaccination is simply happening too slowly to stem the tide of the death toll, and it does really bring to the fore a bizarre and frankly disastrous decision made late last year by the Brazilian government to refuse an offer of a mass offer from Pfizer to buy vaccines. It seems that Brazil at that point genuinely believed that it wouldn't need vaccines because it was reaching a situation of herd immunity. On December the 11th last year, President Bolsonaro claimed that the pandemic was right at the end in Brazil. We now know it wasn't even halfway.
You mentioned Bolsonaro, of course. He was famously skeptical about COVID-19. Has his philosophy changed? Clearly, he caught the virus and obviously sort of felt its effects firsthand. Has his philosophy changed?
Not at all. He still wants to give priority to having as much of the economy open as possible. He's clashing with local state governors over this issue. He even hinted that he might want to bring in the army to break social restrictive measures. So he has clearly nailed his colours to the mast. He is against all social restrictive measures. He's attacked the wearing of masks in the past. We have an interesting development at the moment because much to his government's displeasure, a congressional commission of inquiry has been approved to look into the government's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. Now that's going to bring to the fore many truths that the Bolsonaro government would prefer people to forget. The statement on March the 22nd that the death toll in Brazil, March the 22nd of last year, that the death toll in Brazil would not even reach 800. That statement on December the 11th that the pandemic was right at the end. This bizarre decision not to accept the big offer from Pfizer. Politically, this congressional commission of inquiry into the government's handling of the pandemic looks like being very bad news indeed for the Bolsonaro government.
So many questions, so many questions. Tim, thank you very much indeed. Take care of yourself because we rely on you there. Tim Vickery, our correspondent in Rio, with the very latest on that remarkable statistic. Brazil topping 400,000 deaths due to COVID-19.